I usually end up screwing this up when I talk with Brian. Like I always forget that it goes live right away. Um, so yeah, we're live. I'm talking with Scott from CFCB Unlimited. Scott, thanks for joining me today or tonight. I think we're both on the East Coast here, so we're in
Yeah.
a good spot to be able to talk through some things here. And I hope that anybody that is listening participates in the chat. If you have any questions along the way for me or Scott as we go through anything, just feel free to ask. Um, and we'll just kind of go from there. So, Scott,
Yes.
aside from the items that we're going to be talking about today in this session, what else do you guys do at CFCB Unlimited?
Just about anything. We do Star Wars. We're doing Thundercats now in a 3 3/4 inch scale.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we're just getting ready to post up Mumra. We did Lion-O and we did Panthro. Mumra's next. He's done. We just got to get him up there. Um, we have obviously Star Wars. We did the mask. Miami Vice. We did Miami Vice. We did was it Crockett, Tubbs, Gina, and the other guy. What's his name? Forget now. The sergeant guy.
Slaughter.
No.
I don't have many. I'm very limited.
Oh, Martin Castillo. Yeah, so we did that, and I did got Golden Girls. We do Greatest American Hero.
Okay.
We have some Ninja Turtles, but we're not going to put much more of them out just because they just released a whole retro line, which look just like the ones we have. So there's no point of putting those out.
There's 87 iterations of the Ninja Turtles anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. And then Reaction has their line, but and then we do custom figures for people. I've done some for the guy that played. He was in James. He played 00. What was it? Oh, I can't remember. I caught off blank here. 002 in James Bond, The Living Daylight. So he wanted some figures done, so we made some for him.
That's pretty neat.
So, oh man, what else? We got a couple things. I have some Fall Guy in the pipeline. I kind of like to do the old style shows, TVs, movies. I have some Michael Jackson I've made. I did a Jenny from Tommy Two Tones, 867-5309. That was just kind of a fun one I did.
Yeah.
Some characters from The Boys and Superpowers style. So
how I would ask, like, do you have a process on how you're going to be doing them? Like, as you're thinking along the lines of a line to do, or do you jump around? Like, what do you think? Like, you would classify it? Like, which way would you go with
it? I try to keep an eye on what the topics are and what kind of looks like it's going in a certain direction. And then a lot of times it's just I'll come up with something while I'm just sitting there thinking, oh, why don't I do this? I have a whole list of stuff that I want to get done. So okay. I guess I just kind of jump around and see what's hot. You know, I try to keep with the Mask and Star Wars are the two biggest ones.
Okay.
But as far as that goes, and if I see a line that's starting to take off, I'll continue with that one. Like the Miami Vice, I did the first two, and then I had requests for more. And I'm right in the middle of making the Ferrari for Crockett. I have the prototype all set up, but I'm working on the final details. It's going to be in a 3 3/4 inch scale, so it's a big undertaking. The doors will open, and it'll have free spinning wheels. Wow. So you'll be able to fit in there pretty easy.
That's nice. We had a question.
Okay.
Any plans for Star Trek from Red Beauty 98?
Yeah. Star Trek's on my list. I think Reaction has done some recently, so um, I want to try to get some of the original characters, and I don't know if putting them in the Kenner style is the way to go on those, because that seems to be what Reaction does most. But I don't know what other style to put them in. I don't know if an O-ring would be a good, because I haven't seen many people do O-ring figures. I know Buck Rogers was an original O-ring. I like to do in a Buck Rogers set. So,
Okay.
but yeah.
So there are some hope from Star Trek, and we got this here. So obviously people heard about this. You can talk about whatever you want with the
Okay.
stuff, but don't
Yeah.
go into great detail. Whatever you want to talk about here from Fire Frock.
No, that's fine. Yeah, basically, what it came down to is the mask logo. From everything in the conversation I had with the lawyers, the logo was the big thing because it represented their IP. And from what I
They
understand,
don't care about.
right? Apparently, from what I understand, they don't have the copyrights to the likeness and or the names. That's why when they did the GI Joe Matt-Trakker, they called him Specialist Tracker, because they don't. It's either they don't know they have it, or somebody else has to, or they never did copyright the names. So the only thing you really have is the mask logo, the mask name, and Mobile Armored Strike Command. So I just renamed all my figures just in case, but the likeness, and the other thing was that it couldn't represent exact detail, which then I come to find out they don't know the exact likeness. So that's why Tracker was different with the GI Joe. His name was Specialist Tracker, and his mask was nowhere close to the cartoon or the original figure. So
here's the ones that I have from you, and it's a good collection, not complete. I've admitted that I stupidly missed some, and yeah, we can look at these a little bit closer.
Okay.
But I just wanted to give a shot there. And this one on the front is the O-ring Matt-Trakker that I'll review soon, but I just wanted to have him in there and have him hang out with the rest of the team there.
Yeah, that's our latest one.
Yep, it's very, very impressive. And again,
thank you,
Scott. You sent me the pieces that it takes to make this too, and I'll
Right.
show that in the review. But when I saw that, I thought you sent me a bag of trash, and then I saw the note, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I was just amazed by it. But initially, I was like, did I break something? Like, I did. All I did was open the box. So
right.
But yeah, it's going to be pretty cool to be able to do this and see that as it moves around. But we'll talk about that in a few minutes as we get there. Got a couple more questions here as we're going along. Anything new coming from Mask? Generic Venom Agent Dwayne Kennedy.
There are some new different mask figures, kind of like something like some generic ones like that. Yeah, that's in the works. We have some of those. We do want to start mirroring with the O-rings to go with what we're already doing. The ones like the 3 3/4 inch originals we were doing. So we kind of want to mirror those. And working with one of my designers, we're putting together a unique line that's going to be like a mashup of Mask, GI Joe, and Star Wars all combined. It's gonna have like a futuristic look. They're gonna have masks like Mask does, and they're gonna have vehicles more like the mini rigs Star Wars had.
Wow, okay.
They're going to be like the mini rig styles. So
that's going to be pretty impressive to see.
So
and very ambitious.
So we're working that in.
What about Professor Stevens?
Professor Stevens.
Yeah. First episode, she's holding the camcorder, and then Dagger chases her. You watch the pilot.
Okay. So do some of the background characters from the different episodes.
Yeah, that's she's definitely
okay. Yeah, we can
definitely
look at some of
background.
those.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. I want to do some civilian clothes. I think Dagger did some a while back.
Yeah, I have a couple of them here in my.
So
I
want to do some of those. I want to do some of those in the 3 3/4 inch, and if someone wants them in the original scale, we'll do that. Also, one thing kicking around the idea of is printing blanks. I know people like to customize and do their own mismatch with figures, and buying some of those figures and ripping them up or painting them. Some people don't want to do that, so I was thinking, because since our 3 3/4 inch are so close to what the originals look like, offer blanks for that.
You're gonna provide kit bashing material.
Yeah, just basically, here's a figure with nothing. You paint it however you want.
That'd be pretty cool. I can't paint at all. I don't know if you've seen the customs that I've done for myself. If not, I'll send you a picture. But
okay,
I've tried, but my hands aren't steady enough. We got a couple more questions here.
Sure.
Let's see, we want a Scott and T-Bob, an accurate T-Bob. And Scott can be on fire for all I care. Whatever you want. Make that an accessory. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Scott and T-Bob are on the list.
Okay.
And
do you have the mechanics?
What's that?
Do you have the mechanics to be able to transform T-Bob?
Yeah, we can do that.
Nice.
Because we just did we did a bantha before with a trap door and the moving legs and everything.
Okay.
For Star Wars. So yeah, it can be transformed, but we don't know if we want to do the replica of the original figure or the cartoon version, or maybe do both. So.
And Brian, you're on this thing here. We've talked about it in the past. I would love to see cartoon accurate. The one we got in the Kenner line is nice,
right?
It doesn't represent T-Bob at all,
right?
And it kind of does. That's
because that was one of the ones. Was like those two characters, are popular from the show, but the figures are not many people cared about those. I think people collect them now to have the set, but they weren't their best work.
I mean, and Scott was meant to be us in the show, and T-Bob was comic relief. And
right.
I remember talking with Graham McKenna about it, and talking about how T-Bob had that element to him where he could be serious in 1 second and then just kind of flip the switch and do something really, silly. So it was always cool to have that cartoon accurate jock from Brian here. There's a couple more here.
Okay.
People going here. No, you're not the only one there, Brian. It is a perplexing one because Jacques is definitely not really close to
right
what we got here from the regular line anyway. Let's see. Go back down here. I just want to make sure we get everybody.
Sure.
Oh, the lawyers say when the movie is going to go into production.
No, they, as far as I understand, they have no plans to do anything with Mask.
Yeah, that's been par for the course.
I think mostly because the vehicles. So
yeah,
they're interested in pumping out junk like Star Wars, that kind of stuff that they can just push out. That doesn't take much engineering. As you can tell, they don't put out a lot of Star Wars vehicles or anything anymore. It's just the figures.
If you want really intricate Star Wars stuff, you got to go for like the Legos.
Right.
for that kind of element. But you're right.
Right.
And I don't remember. It's something that I want to explore for a future episode. Is I want to figure out when it got to a point, not just mask, but when did the toy companies stop caring about the end product and as you said, just kind of pumping stuff out.
Right. That's a good question.
It happened. It had to have happened at one point. So I
would like
to
say maybe mid 90s. So I remember buying toys for my son and daughter, and my son in the 90s, and he had some really cool Power Rangers, and then eventually they just kind of started turning into garbage. He had a lot of different toys, but I would think mid to late 90s is when they stopped caring as much, I think.
Think about the Kenner Superpowers line. And
right.
that I know it was Toy Biz that came out, I think, with the next line.
Correct.
But from the mechanics of those figures to whatever that line was, it's like a perfect example of, all right, here's the minimal we can do, and have at it. The most intricate thing I think they had was, did Lex Luthor's arm move up and down? I don't even remember on that one. So, it's just an interesting concept.
Yeah, back in the 80s, they had a lot of action figures and toys that had motion and action. Even LJN with the Thundercats.
Yeah.
You put a little trigger in the back, the arms move.
The video games are terrible, but they did a really good job with those.
Right. Yeah. And you had the Silverhawks, you squeeze the legs and the arms, and then Mask with the transforming vehicles.
Yep. And it's not impossible. There are places out there that are making them. There are customizers that are making them, and and I know you've mentioned that you want to think about maybe doing something in the scale that we have here. It's all livable if you have the right imagination and the right willpower to do it.
Yeah, I want to get the designer I'm working with that new line. He's been slowly working on the 3 3/4 inch Thunderhawk. So,
is asking for Centurions.
I have heard several requests for those too.
And then Dave here thinks it was the early 2000s.
Okay. Yeah.
When stuff started going downhill.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah.
And probably right. It's going to be worth looking into. And Dave, you're the wealth of daily knowledge from Mass. This sounds like something that's right up your alley too, to help research. So,
right.
But no, it's actually it's an interesting thought.
Yeah, it'd be good research to find out when it started.
Yeah.
And when Hasbro started buying up everybody.
Yeah. But I want to let's see. We need a Centurion's crystal finally. So I don't know what that means. My Centurion's knowledge is very minimal.
Yeah, I have minimum knowledge as well.
Can you elaborate on that figure? I'm going to look it up while we're talking here.
Okay.
Let's see.
That other, it was like Action Force. I've had a lot of requests for Action Force figures.
Okay.
I think that was
Crystal Kane is her name. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. They never made one. That's a shame. But that also, I guess, they got the mass treatment with the female characters where the dude,
right,
either not there or just shoved down into a corner somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's thanks for that. It'll be interesting to see that. But as we continue to talk here, I want to talk about your mask line, or not mask line. And as anything comes up, anybody has any questions, anybody has a suggestion for Scott and his team, definitely post it in the comments. But I'm gonna add my second camera back on here,
Okay.
and I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger than us because nobody wants to see me.
No one to look at me either.
And then here we go. So again, this is what I have in my collection from you. And I remember when I saw that tracker, first in that scale, I was pretty damn happy, like, to see that. And then when I saw that tracker in that scale, and my happiness scaled up as we went. And you sent me the 12-inch figure.
Oh, the 12-inch one.
Yeah, that was pretty damn funny. I just remember opening it up and just getting a good laugh out of, like, seeing how gigantic it was.
Yeah, it's huge. I can go grab it if you want to. But
no, that's fine. Yeah. Good.
All right.
You want to grab it?
Sure.
All right. Let's see what we got. I'm gonna clear the path here while Scott's doing that. So that way there we can talk about any of the ones we have. Oh, I dropped something. It did not break. This is good. I think I've gone a pretty long time without breaking something. All right. Yep, there he is. He's as tall as Scott. And
here's the original scale.
Yep. He's a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
It's I'm going to switch back over to you for a second here. I'll turn this camera off. There you go. Yeah, it's just it's such a cool concept, and like I said, I remember you telling me you were doing it, and I was like, all right, how hard is it to scale that up from your original casts to that level? Is it, I don't know anything about figure making and
actually all of the mass figures that we do, basically, well, technically everything we do is complete 3D design. Nothing's scanned, and nothing's cast from the original figures. Everything is done from scratch, and so that's why we were able to scale up and go down and stuff like that, because once it's rendered in a 3D model, then we can pretty much do the scaling at any point, and I have
so we can have a life-size one soon.
You can, yeah. I can. It'll take a while and a lot of resin, but I can make one.
I'd be interested in just the mask itself.
Yeah.
And as long as you can have the powers with it too, that'd be cool. Make sure you work that in, if you can. But we got a question here.
All right.
Can you go into the production process, like printing, painting, like how do you guys go about it? You don't have to tell any trade secrets or anything.
No, that's fine. I even have a video on the YouTube channel showing that as well.
Okay.
It starts in the design process. I'll work with I have 5 designers I work with, and for various ones. I have one that does the O-rings, one that does mostly masks, some Star Wars. So I talk with them, tell them what I'm wanting, and they'll do their rendering, send it to me, and I'll say, yeah, that's good to go. And then I'll go ahead and take that, and then I'll put it in my program. I'll make sure it's the right size I want it to be, and then I'll put it on my slicing program that converts the 3D files into a format that my printer can read. And then once I get that set up and get all the supports and everything and the resin settings and how I want to print, and then I just put on the USB stick it in the printer and print and hope it doesn't fail. And so when it comes out, I clean it and let it dry, and then I cure it. That could take up depends on the model. I've gotten bigger and bigger machines, so I have one machine I can get about 12 figures on. I have another one I can get 6, and I have another one I can get 4. So it depends on which ones I'm doing. I can do at least 4 at once. And I print them really slow. I got the settings set so they have a lot of detail. So it could take up to about 6 hours to print one run. And then the curing, the process, that takes about a day before I start working on it. And then from there, I put it together, make sure it's good to go, look it over, make sure there's no deformities or something that didn't print right. I have bags of parts didn't print right, and I just chuck it to the side. So
half a figure or missing an
yeah,
arm.
yeah. So I use those parts for testing paints and stuff. But so once I get it all put together and make sure it looks good, then I take it back apart, start painting it, and once it's finished painting, then I'll put the lacquer coating on it. That way to protect the paint and keep the resin from.
So you paint each one of these by hand?
Yes, everything's done by hand. I've employed my daughter to help me with some figures as well. She's just as good, if not better, than I am in painting. So.
I mean, the Julio Lopez one that just got in, I think it's one of the better painted ones you guys have done.
Thank you.
I mean, all of them are, have their, they're all great. But like when I saw this, and this is one of my favorite mask uniforms, so it like really stands out. And it's just the detail and how you guys have it set, the blue. And I'm going to talk about this one more as we kind of do more of like an actual like review on it. But let me get the camera back in here.
Yeah, when I first started the mask ones, I started with Tracker and Mayhem, and I didn't really know how well they would go. I did it because I liked them, and they took off. And then I was like, well, let me do these. And I started getting the paint schemes. I didn't have the figures. I have them, but they're in the box. I've just never unpacked. And the more I got into them, I was trying to match the paint through photos online, and some of the paint didn't quite turn out, apparently. So I'm like, forget it. So I went on eBay and I bought every single figure from Series 1 and Series 2. So now when I go to paint, I try to get the figure and I try to mix the paint to where it's as close as I can possibly get it to match.
This should be your next one.
Which one's that one?
This is Bruno Shepard from the Split Seconds line.
Oh, the Split Seconds.
Yeah, it's a great figure. Really stands out as garbage. It's Dave, when we did our figure list, I don't remember where we ranked him at, but I know it was pretty low. But yeah, that's not one that I really want to do. Just in case anybody was wondering, my figure shelf's right there. That's why.
Wow.
That's why.
Yeah, each figure is assembled by hand and painted by hand and lacquered by hand.
That's amazing. It really is.
Thanks.
And you can see, and you can see it. I didn't even think to ask that, to be honest, because I thought there was some other process that you guys were using.
Oh no, and that's what takes so long to get them out sometimes, especially if I don't have them ready and I get an back order, then I'll have I have the blanks ready to go, or I'll have to print them back out.
Yeah, this Bruno one too. This is the colors on this one are really spot on.
And that was a unique one because he had the tattoos on him, which I did not want to attempt to paint, and so I decided to use water slide decals for those. So I did a digital scan of his tattoos and recreated them in Photoshop, and then I printed them out on water slide decals. So it didn't. So I gave it more of a real look instead of someone did it at home in their basement.
Did the trick for me. I mean, the deep orange is really what stands out. And if you would have told me that you did or didn't paint those tattoos on, I would have believed you, because just the detail.
Thank you.
Hands down. Yeah, we got. This Julio. Was this the newest one aside from the O-ring that's out?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the latest standard mask.
Okay. And in case anybody forgets what Julio looks like, there he is.
Yeah, getting those colors were a chore to match. Let me tell you.
I don't even know what color you would call that brown, gray, yellow. It's like there's a lot of colors mixed in there.
Yeah, I think I used three colors on his main uniform.
Okay.
It's a yellow, a tan, and like a flesh tone or something. And I had I go through mix until forever. And the blue as well. That takes up 4 colors there to make that one.
Oh wow.
So, and the orange wasn't too bad. That was just diluting it, try to get the right shade. But yeah, and I found that the Vanessa Warfield, the pictures I had showed pink, so that's what I went with. But then when I bought her, I realized it was red. So yeah, so and their mask is different now. So
it doesn't bother me at all.
What's that?
It doesn't bother me at all.
So now she's got the right colors, but
no, I mean, it's you guys are allowed to do it, like if you're deviating, and plus I don't remember how far along Vanessa was in the process, but you guys were
early on,
finding your way.
Yeah.
And now that we know that these are all hand painted, like that's a lot.
She was the 5th one I did.
Okay.
Yeah, she was the 5th figure. I got all mine up here. So yeah, she was number 5, and I didn't start buying any until, let's see. Well, Bruno, I think, is the only one I had that I bought, because I had the others. So, and then all series 2, like I said, I went and bought all those. And Dustin is the guy that I work with for mask. So I snap about 100 or plus pictures of the figure, and send it all to him, and he takes it, and that's what he comes up with. So like that's for the Julio. I took about 100 something pictures, different angles, different sizes, and sent it to him, and that's what he gave me. Okay. So he's fantastic.
We got another question here.
Sure.
Anything with maybe scaling up the adventure packs. So here's one here. Here's Tracker Jungle Challenge.
Yeah. In fact, there are some that have the same style uniform, just different mask.
Yep.
That would be easy to do. Just got to reproduce a new mask and use that same figure, just paint them differently.
Yep. Would you be able to do the backpack, you think?
Oh yeah, because it's not like really like the GI Joe where it has a little peg in the hole, even though that's easy to do too. But
okay,
accessories are easy to do.
That's pretty neat. And we also had a question about the specialist tracker. Are you thinking maybe you can do something at a different scale for that? Maybe in the original scale line,
like the O-ring and original scale.
The one that GI Joe came out, like taking that concept and then putting it into 2.5.
This one here.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that's the O-ring version as well. Well, not quite an O-ring actually. His waist is swivels actually.
Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't have the O-ring style. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I could work on that. I don't know if it'll be the exact one. I mean, I could try.
And you also have, and it might not be popular for most people, but you also have the IDW comics.
Right.
Characters have different, iterations of themselves as a base. You don't have to make it exact, but there's definitely, a lot of inspiration. Just a thought. We got a question here. In your honest opinion, based on your feedback and demand of your figures, is Hasbro underestimating the popularity of a mass release, or is it understandable? Or is it understandable with the reluctance?
I don't think they understand the demand for mask. If they did, they would be all over it.
It is a weird concept.
I think a lot of people don't want the figures without the vehicles. So there are a lot of purists out there that says if I don't have the vehicle, the figure's not worth it, or I only collect because of the vehicle. So
No,
and
I'm definitely not in that category. There are people that do that.
right.
Um,
And so I
but
think that's why another reason Hasbro hasn't put any out, because they don't want to put the effort into their vehicles, because that's a lot of engineering that goes into those.
yeah, no, it definitely is. It would be nice if they would ever just talk about it, maybe one day.
Right. Yeah.
That one, they don't owe us anything because they don't actually care about it. But it'd be nice to hear something official that we
I
don't.
think at one point they were wanting to put together a movie that had Transformers, Mask, and G.I. Joe in it all together.
Hmm?
But I don't remember how far that went. Obviously, they scrapped it, but
It was kind of like the IDW comic. I think maybe it was like a test platform,
right,
where they had those entities, and they already had GI Joe movies and Transformers, and they wanted to bring in, what else was it, Rom and
yeah,
drawing a blank on the others, but they wanted to do like a cinematic universe type element. And there was a point where they actually announced a director for the movie and also a writer.
wow,
And, like, literally nothing happened after that. And I think that was like 2018, maybe.
yeah. From what I understand, that comic didn't go over very well. But see, and if you look at that comic, they changed the characters' likeness and the names, so because they didn't have, or they didn't know who owned the right to the likeness or names, so they had to, they turned Matt-Trakker. I think they turned him black, and they altered Vanessa's or Gloria's outfit and some of their names and stuff. So they didn't.
There were definite, like, Matt-Trakker's backstory was definitely a lot different.
Yeah.
He wasn't, a billionaire, trust fund kid. And
Did they spell his name differently in the comic too?
no, the names were spelled the same.
It's still the same.
The one character that was pretty spot on was Miles. I actually, Miles in the comic, I think I like better, and this is like because he was more devious, more diabolical,
right?
Than the cartoon, because the cartoon can only go so far on the evil.
Yeah,
and in Brian's Mass comics that he made, Kerouac, the representation of Miles, really stepped it up a notch too. So that there's, actually that's a good idea too. You can make figures based off of Brian's comics.
Yeah, I do love his artwork. His artwork's fantastic. That's one of the reasons why I kind of begged him to help me out with my 6-inch boxes. Yep. So he did the artwork for that.
I remember he sent me a message. He's like, I don't know how to make 3D design. And not that he wasn't going to help you with it,
right?
But he was like, I usually draw flat,
right?
And for him to conceptualize he did a great job with it.
Oh, he did a fantastic job.
Conceptualize how the thing's going to bend and where, what line's going to break where. It's definitely adds a whole different dynamic. So did a great job with it.
Yeah, he did. He did. Very pleased. I had that. I think he had a list of figures that were in line for the 6-inch, and that came about right when the letter from Hasbro, when it kind of slowed process on that.
Okay. Let's see. How about making the mask helmets that scale with recent 6-inch figures like Classified, Marvel Legends, slightly larger than their ball pegs? Buyers could use blue tack. What's that? Lark, could you elaborate on that? I'm not sure I'm following the question. I just want to make sure we get it across. So I apologize about that.
We do have the 6-inch figures for a couple of them. Maybe he wants to know if to sell the masks separately. That way they can put them with the figures, I guess. I don't know about the ball joint thing. I do have a 6-inch O-ring tracker sliced and ready to go on the printer.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to see how that turns out.
Hopefully well.
Yeah.
Let's see. The names were all spelled the same. Miles Mayhem was Miles Mannheim in the cartoon. Miles Mayhem was his nickname.
Oh,
That's
okay.
something that people don't really know about. So, yeah. Thanks, Dave. And Dave's son is named Miles, so I think he has the lore all on that. So, but yeah, So you have how many figures do you have in the 3.75 right now?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 17 counting 17 and 18 counting the design winner in mass. Okay. Just the 3 3/4 inch. So
yeah, and I have that here too, and I'll give that a review as well. But what are there, 90 figures, including the split seconds? Yeah, they're they're hologram. Don't make those.
Don't make the holograms.
No, I don't think that would go well. I mean, if you really wanted to get crazy with it, maybe Matt and Miles, but Bruce Otto's wearing a pogo stick on his head, and it's just so terrible. Let's see here. All right, what do we got? The writer was even announced 2 years later in February 2020, right before things happened. What happened in 2020?
Wow.
My son was born in February 2020. Is that what you're talking about? I think so. I think that's what we're talking about. So my son being born derailed the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Good job.
I can't believe that. I'm sorry, everybody.
All your fault.
We lucked out, with that because February 2nd he was born, and then like 2 weeks later the world stopped.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to worry about a ton of hospital restrictions and everything. But
yeah, that was good timing.
But but I think we all know how it went. Yeah. And it's still going. But yeah, it's actually, I forgot that it was announced in 2020. So thank you for reminding me of that. Let's see. All right, let's see. Just making helmets for that 6-inch scale might be faster to pump out. Similar to how customizers have sold head sculpts for 6-inch figures. Okay. I get it. So this would be, I think, maybe similar to what we were talking about earlier with like, what is it? We talked about it. So like you would put something out that people can customize,
right?
The kit bashing stuff like that.
Yeah, kit bashing stuff.
It's actually interesting just to if you just sold the masks.
Yeah,
because like actually what would be pretty cool. I have these ring holders. Oh, I'm gonna get the camera going. That I have the second mask, the long masks from Series 1.
Oh, okay.
Like they just kind of sit on this clear peg, and they sit in front of the figure that I have up there. So that would be like a cool, like if let's say that somebody just wanted to get the masks and have that on display. That'd be pretty neat too. If that,
I can
worth doing.
Do a run of masks in the 3 3/4 inch and 6-inch scale. I don't know if there's a big demand for them in the original scale, but
well, I mean, if you get the life size one, I'm putting it right there. So I'm going to put it right behind me.
I was wanting to do the life size one, but I wanted to see how the O-ring mask would turn out if that was going to be a better version than the cart or the Kenner one. So I don't know which one would be a better one to scale up.
Let's see. Get some
Maybe
of these.
you can look at them both and decide which one you think would be a better one to run a scale up.
Yeah, I'll get them side by side here in a second. The gray is a little darker on the O-ring, and it's not bad. Is that something that you saw from the cartoon?
Yeah, yes and no. With the O-rings, I have to try to dye the resin to the color it needs to be, because so when it comes out, I don't have to do a complete paint job on it. All I got to do is the detailing, because it does have moving parts, and once you have a lot of moving parts with paint, the paint will start to rub off. And so, like with that tracker there, I tried to get the gray as close as I could to the original, scale figure. I had it sitting next to me. It was close. So when it prints, and then when I put the lacquer on it, sometimes the colors do change a little bit once the lacquer hits, but because the shoulders go up and down and everything, all the moving parts, I was just afraid that the paint would just rub off and it would just look horrible. And I'd rather have a slight off colored figure than paint falling off and looking crappy.
No, echo. Sorry about that. I got too close to the mic there. Even though it's muted, I don't know why it's doing it. I do work in technology and I can't figure it out. So what Scott's referring to, so like you can see the white on the figure, and if you look at the mask, so this one here is based off of the Kenner figure, and this one here is based more off of the cartoon. So you can kind of see the side by side of the O-ring, which is on the right, and then the Kenner version, which is on the left. I would wear either one around anywhere, but it would be interesting because you made the. I think it would be cooler because you made the concept of that mask in your own sense of like what it is. Right. I think the O-ring version might be better to scale up whenever it comes around to that.
Okay,
but that's just my opinion. If anybody else has one. Obviously, people have opinions, from what I understand, and let us know. Even if you're not here live, if you're listening later, we'll be able to check back and see what we got.
Yeah.
Let's see here. All right, turn off the camera. Go back over here. Got another. What would you consider to be your favorite or best figure you've put out? So,
overall,
you can go overall, and then let's go to the mask. Yeah, let's do it that way.
Man, my favorite overall, favorite far as mask goes, that's a tough one. I like how I don't know. Bruno was fun because of the water slide decals. I do like Floyd Malloy, the way he turned out. I liked him. And then Sly. I guess they're all on Venom, I guess. But as far as that goes, I guess those are the ones that I'm looking at. I have them all back here to Star Wars. I got my mask all up there. So, okay. But so that would be the one I think would be. Besides my 12-inch, it's probably one of my favorites.
It is definitely a unique piece, to say the least. And outside of mask, what would you say is your favorite? You guys have done, produced.
I would probably say my Bantha would be the top. I'll go grab that real quick.
I think the most I got into Star Wars, I have a couple figures, but vehicle wise, I think I have the Tauntaun. So not nothing spectacular. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, and the trap door works, so you can put the figure inside the trap door. So,
Nice.
and the legs move. So
that's pretty cool.
Outside of that, let me see. I did do a Boba Fett with that. Is a kind of a unique one here. Got my head on it.
Oh, nice.
So I did that. So
yeah, don't be Django.
Yeah, don't be Django. I'll lose my head.
Yep. Let's see here. We got a couple more questions.
Okay.
Comments. We got Spaceballs or Star Wars Holiday Special.
A Spaceballs 3D Panda has done a line of Spaceballs.
Okay.
And I was working with him early on. We were going to work with the same designer at one point, and we made an agreement that because he really wanted to do Spaceballs, and so I agreed to let him take the reins on that, so I wouldn't encroach him on that. And the holiday special, yeah, I can do some of those. I've seen some people put out 3D files you can buy online through Colts and print them out, but I never use those unless very rare. I think early on when I started doing it, I was using Desert Octopus for a few, and then I decided I just didn't want to use anybody that I didn't want to have something that everybody can just download. So that's why I started having mine done. So the ones I have I pay good money to make sure that they never get released than to me. So
okay. Yeah, we definitely need B. Arthur in the cantina.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big Golden Girls fan, so yeah. I already did a Sophia figure from Golden Girls.
Okay.
What's that?
Is that okay? That's good to know.
So yeah, definitely B. Arthur. Any other questions?
I'm trying to think. Let's see here. All right. Any plans to reissue the Bantha?
Yes. In fact, I was supposed to. I had planned on releasing it earlier in May for Star Wars. I think May the 4th I was going to release it again, but I just had things come up and I just didn't want to overcommit. So, and those are one of the ones that, because it takes so much time to print and assemble and paint, I do pre-orders on those. So I know I don't need them because it takes a lot of material as well. So I don't want to make 40 and sell 3. So I'll make them as a sell for the most part. So yeah, I am going to release those.
Okay. That'd be pretty neat. Let's see if there's no other questions in the chat. We got one more here. How do you determine what figures to reissue?
The amount of messages I get asking if I'm ever going to release them again. I didn't have, for a while, all my previous match figures. I just haven't set up. Now I have them set up as back order if I don't have them available. So a lot of figures I've tried to put up as, even though they might not be in stock, if they can be back ordered. This means that once I get an order for them, I'll go ahead and start the printing process and get those knocked out as quick as I can.
Okay.
So,
let's see.
But me and my daughter are working towards getting a stock pile put together. So she's going to help me get caught up and get a whole bunch set up for me.
Okay, it sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, she's working on the fan strike back, the 12 figures that they were supposed to release back in what was it 2000.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, they took a lot of people's money. They just never produced them, and yeah, and so what I did was I worked with another designer. I said, because he had some figures that were already designed, and so basically I put out that anybody that purchased from them that never spent the $300 something or whatever it was, that never got their figures, if they email me a copy of their paid invoice, then I'll give them a discount code. So the only thing they pay for me is cost.
That's cool.
So I won't make anything actually. I'll be losing money on that. But I got kind of scammed with them as well for those same 12 because they hired me originally to do the artwork for the card backs. And so I did all the artwork for the card backs, and they negotiated part of the payment to be a set of the figures. So I discounted my invoice to reflect, and I never got them. So even though I wasn't out, I didn't pay them, they still kind of owed me. So
no, sorry to hear that occurred.
That's fine. So I'm just paying it back. I want to pay it back, pay it forward to the customers that got screwed.
No, you've done a lot with that, and I appreciate the fact that we have a bad batch. Somebody asked there. Let's see, the bad batch. Any idea for that?
I can do Bad Batch. I started doing a Bad Batch line. Started with Fennec Shan. She sold fairly well, but there wasn't an overall interest in them because I had put some feelers out there and people weren't really into them. So I tried to, because it costs a lot to get these figures designed. So I want to, put out where I can. So.
Well, that makes sense. Those rubbery helmets fit over the heads quite well. Let's see here. Have you thought about trying mask and rubber material?
Yes. I do have some rubbery resin. In fact, I just bought, it's from Rizzoni F80. It's a rubber resin. It is very temperamental, but basically when I'm printing tires right now for that Spider Ferrari, and they're going to be rubber tires. So once I figure out how to do that, I did use that same material for the seatbelt for the Manta. So it's all flexible. So it goes back and forth. So there's some things I can do, but.
And then we got Red Dead Redemption. Good old Arthur Morgan.
I'm not familiar with Red Dead.
It's a game on Xbox, PlayStation, stuff like that.
Okay.
It's a pretty epic story. And it's something to, like, you can watch the cutscenes. It's a pretty detail oriented Western game. Just for reference. Let's see. Got any more here? Then we're at 1 hour, Scott. I'm going to call it a night for now. I appreciate everybody jumping on.
All right.
Upgrade. Oh, we got another one. Any plans for upgraded versions of Scott and T-Rob from Couch Potato Farm? Yeah, we did talk about that. That there is something, in the thought process.
Yeah, we probably going to be leaning more toward the cartoon version than the Kenner version for the Scott and T-Bob.
Yep. All right. We'll close it out. Scott, well, everybody on the chat and everybody that's watched, thank you very much. Scott, it's great meeting you.
Yeah, you too. I appreciate it.
Even though, we've interacted a lot.
Yeah.
First time we've met, face to face.
Right.
I want to do this again sometime. So
yeah, absolutely.
If we
and I can get on there with all the other regulars, that'd be fine too.
Can do that. Definitely. And if we get on there with Dave, he'll pick your brain. He's a wealth of knowledge. So I think that'll be fun. And plus you can get Brian on there too, and you can tease him about his box art. I don't know. It's up to you.
There you go.
But yeah, everybody, thank you again. Appreciate it very much. And hope you have a good rest of your night.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
See you guys.
Bye.